Welcome back to the Now for Later podcast for the week of September 27th, where this week we'll be discussing New England. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Now for Later podcast. Greetings, salutations. I'm Liam. As always, I'm joined by my puritanical co-host, Mikey G.
What's going on, guys?
How's it going, Mike?
It's going good. We recently learned of the passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes, we found out actually the last time we recorded, in the middle of our podcast, it seemed to have gone out as we were recording. So after, when we were doing our little wrap up, little talk, and on our phones, checking the news, checking our messages, and much to our surprise and disappointment, we lost another one.
2020 might go down as the worst year in human history.
I feel like we're saying this like every episode, that we lost someone, something terrible happened.
But I think this week's episode, we're just gonna brighten your day.
This one it'll be uplifting. We need some uplifting feeling right now.
We do. So I think that, backed by popular demand, is my segment, Absurd Current Events. In recent news, Dr. Phil begs TikTok followers to stop calling him Daddy. Dr. Phil McGraw popped up on TikTok to ask his followers to stop calling him Daddy. He's apparently annoyed, saying, and I quote, "You have to stop." He said, "I appreciate the support. It's a little weird, but I appreciate the support." However, on this video, people took to the comments, didn't seem to understand. One commenter says, "Sorry, father." Another one, "I never snitch on daddy." And another one, "I'm sorry, papa." One said, "Daddy, chill." Dr. Phil.
You know what's funny? I actually talked about Dr. Phil on TikTok recently in one of my classes.
Did you?
Yeah, in my educational psychology class. We were doing 20 questions as like an icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the person who had the word. And my word was Dr. Phil. And it took like probably 45 questions to get Dr. Phil.
I very seldom think of Dr. Phil.
He reminds me of being very young and like mother watching him in the morning.
Yeah.
Like early in the morning,
My mom used to watch Oprah.
Yeah, well, he is a product of Oprah.
Is he?
Yeah, he got a start on the Oprah show. Much like Dr. Oz.
She seems like such a down to earth person. She seems so wealthy, but so like not like a uptight kind of wealthy person.
No, because she's a rags to riches story.
She is.
Yeah, she's great.
The world needs more of those.
We need more Oprahs.
You need more Oprahs. In recent news, Australian airline Qantas' flight to nowhere sells out in 10 minutes, report says. The Australian air carrier Qantas announced that a 7-hour scenic, quote-unquote, flight to nowhere would take off and land at the same airport. It'll depart from Sydney on October 10th and return to Sydney, making no stops, promising low-level scenic views over Uluru and the Great Barrier Reef. There were 134 seats available, ranging from $575 to $2,765. To think that we've reached a new low, people miss traveling, now they're willing to buy tickets for upwards of almost $3,000 to fly to nowhere.
The more I think about it, the more I kind of like the idea.
I like the idea.
But that's too expensive to go nowhere.
That's too expensive, and it's also... we're not traveling because we don't want to be on planes with a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're packing a plane full of people to go nowhere. Like,
for no purpose.
If I wouldn't fly to some place on an airline because of that, why would I fly to nowhere? Because I would be more apt to like take, do like a private flight.
Yeah.
Or like a tourist flight with like me and just a pilot in a small aircraft to go somewhere.
Yeah.
The concept is interesting.
Yeah, it's just we are in a global pandemic, and that just seems like an unnecessary gathering.
The logic is a little flawed.
That's crazy. I can't believe no one else has thought of that yet.
I think that in Singapore they're doing that now too.
Really? But like
Two island nations. I think that's important to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nowhere to go. Like they are stuck on those islands. Granted, Australia is huge.
It's a big island, but Australia is also.
But like the center part of Australia
Yeah.
is nothing.
Yeah.
In recent news, John Oliver and Mayor in dispute over naming sewage plant after Oliver. Now this is happening right here in Connecticut.
What?
Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton said on WTNH TV that he would accept Oliver's challenge to name the city's sewage plant after him following Oliver's offer to donate $55,000 to local charities. The one condition was that Oliver would have to be physically present when they cut the ribbon.
Wow. Has he said anything yet, or?
I don't think that Oliver responded to that, and it doesn't tell us what made him single out Danbury.
Yeah, it seems like an odd town to.
But it caught his attention, and it'll get this little Connecticut town some serious media coverage.
Yeah.
So, go Connecticut.
Connecticut, Connecticut.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. The sewage plant. That's the John Oliver sewage plant.
I would have asked for something nice, maybe like the city hall, or at least like a nice park.
Yeah, or a band room.
A band room. We should all aspire.
Hmm.
Or an auditorium.
The auditorium. The tech booth.
That would be a dream.
Maybe we can get a tech booth.
If we're lucky. A
Yeah.
handmade sign.
Yeah.
Unofficial. To check out these articles and so much more, check them out in the description below.
That was a good segment, man. I really like those news articles were good.
We gotta keep the news positive and funny sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Emus, priests,
Tiki bars.
tiki bars, John Oliver's, flights to nowhere. That's poetic, man. A flight to nowhere.
Yeah, but a 7-hour flight to nowhere, though, seems a little long.
Yeah, that's again very unnecessary, especially during these trying times of health and viral spreading. But it's a cool thing to think about.
That it is.
Yeah. This week we're coming to you with a fun topic. Mikey G, you want to introduce this topic this week?
The topic this week is New England. The 6 states of New England. And we're approaching one of the most beautiful times of year, fall. If you haven't already, go check out our episode from season 1 on all things fun in fall. But we're going to make this episode a little different, centralize it and focus on specifically New England in all 4 seasons. But I think we should kick it off with our discussion of fall.
Of fall. I love it. Fall is my favorite season by far. By far. And we are in probably the best place to be for fall.
Yeah.
Possibly ever.
What do they say? Alaska has 2 seasons, winter and the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Fall's not a part of that.
No.
In the South, if you go down there in the dead of winter, most of the trees still have their leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's nice to have some separation, to be able to move through all 4 seasons and experience them. But I think that winter, the greater winter season is the shortest.
Yeah.
But I think that the beginning of fall and the end of spring, when it's lush, the weather's tolerable, you can be outside. I do like that about this region.
Mm.
It's really only unreasonable to have an event outside from, November to February.
Yeah.
But from March to October, that's the better part of a year.
Yeah.
So I think that, we are in the primo, southern New England is the primo spot.
Yeah.
For all of that. But I think there's still a lot of fun fall activities, We get beautiful fall foliage.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a warm, figuratively warm season.
Warm colors, warm spices.
We are the nutmeg state, so
Nutmeg.
it's only fitting.
Nutmeg is a delicious spice. Yeah, I mean, we got apples, pumpkins, squash, all kinds of vegetables and fruit that are sort of like the more wintry stuff. I'm not really a big like squash guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a very like, think of corn, beans, and squash. The Three Sisters. Squanto taught us.
Yeah. I do like myself some pumpkin pie.
I like pumpkin
but
pie.
That might be the only way I'd eat my pumpkin. It's like in the pureed pumpkin.
Mm.
Like I feel like that's the only acceptable way to eat it. If you eat it like a watermelon, I'm sorry, you're weird.
Who eats pumpkin like a watermelon?
I feel like it'd be very delightful. But pumpkin seeds are also delicious.
Yeah.
Like those are a great snack. I remember when I worked at Highland Park Market, when we got like our gourds, I was in charge of like the gourds and the pumpkins, but then we'd get like our acorn squash, and we got like butternut squash and like all like the normal squash, and then we got some other weird like, I still don't know what it's called. I had never heard of it, but they were coated in wax. I don't know what the purpose of these was, but I worked there during Thanksgiving, and grocery stores are quite busy during Thanksgiving time. I don't know, I feel like stocking the fall stuff was like, it felt so nice. Because it's not just tomatoes and cucumbers and apples, it's all this fun seasonal stuff. But fall in New England is harvest season.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of like the...
in the summer, like, corn is good, but you really harvest corn in fall. Apples are in their prime in fall. So you can get them in the summer, but this is now the time to get really fresh, really great, farmer market or, produce stand.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's so many farm stands and not even like official farm stands, like...
Just on the side of the road.
Yeah, just like in front of people's houses, like them peddling like garlic that they've grown or like pumpkins or something.
Do you ever get corn from Belanco Farms?
No.
A-rate.
Really?
Highly recommend. We get a lot of our produce from there, or like the seasonal produce. They have very high quality products.
Yeah.
It always feels good, like supporting local business. We are a farm town, so it very apropos. Like the farm.
Yeah.
Culture of Suffield ain't going away anytime soon.
No, sir. They're just farm stands. That's just part of like our subculture of New England town.
And go back and watch our last episode about America. But I know, like in the South, peaches. They do the same thing with peaches. Like you could be on a totally abandoned road and a house will pop out of nowhere and there'll be a peach stand right in front of it. And I'm like, I think it's just the coolest thing. Like, they're fresh. Like that, or maybe they buy them from the grocery store, but that would be so stupid.
Like, imagine.
Like I assume they're fresh.
I'm reselling peaches.
I don't know. Again, fall is just such a delightful season. I feel like it came really fast this year. I feel like September can be one of the hotter months of the year, and it's not until the end of September. But I feel like right at the beginning, it started to get really cool, really fast, and now it's like light sweater weather.
Dude, isn't it crazy? It's almost October.
It's insane.
It's so weird. I can't believe it.
Time is warping at unprecedented rates.
What is happening?
We're moving through space and time in weird ways.
It feels like this year's been so long, but like only the first couple of months when we were in true isolation, they felt like time was going at a snail's pace, and now I feel like we're sprinting.
God is being merciful to us.
Yes.
Getting us through 2020 as fast as possible.
Yes, indeed. So New England, what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word New England?
I think of quaint towns. Like I picture a town like maybe Suffield, or maybe if you were to go up to like New Hampshire or Vermont, they're even quainter. Like a little church, a little town green, old houses,
covered bridges,
streams and waterfalls, but very like meek. Like you're in the woods. It's not like some mighty rivers flowing through it. It's very natural. It's very, organic. Like windy roads or hills or, something I love about the New England landscape is, it's not flat.
Yeah.
Florida is just flat as can be. But I like how, it's not the same. It's not a grid pattern of roads. It's very windy and scenic.
Very scenic.
Yeah, it's very calming, I think. Your drive home from work can be, depending on where you work, can be very relaxing. That was always my favorite part of going to school. Like, I'm not driving through some metropolis. It's not stressful. It's one lane town roads. It's simple.
Very simple. I think that's a good way to put it. Simple. Simple. I know that can often be seen as like an insult, It's simple, but in this case, like simplicity, just because like you said, there's no like I don't know, blueprint, It sort of goes with the flow, even though the New England psyche is very opposite of that.
Yeah. But it's insane to me, like, we are one of the most dense, we have a very large population density. But if you go to, like, upper state Vermont, New Hampshire, or Maine, it's very empty. But, I mean, New York and that part of Connecticut, I know New York's not a part of New England, but, the New York area of Connecticut, very dense. Central Connecticut, the Connecticut River Valley is very dense, but then eastern and western Connecticut are very sparse. It's very woodsy. It's like that to me is New England. Like, and to me, New Haven doesn't feel like New England.
No.
It feels very industrial. You're on Long Island Sound. Like, it just doesn't feel right. I know, Massachusetts, I feel like all of Western Mass is really densely populated. Worcester and Springfield and Boston and Cape Cod and, all very bustling areas. Western Mass is very slow and quiet, that borders upper state New York, so that's, it's not really close to the city, so it's a little quieter. Again, more mountainous and, again, very...
Yeah, that like, corner of Mass that butts up against New York, that's like... I went there, like, for the first couple of times we had a bunch of jobs when I was installing solar panels. Like, those were the first couple of jobs up in that corner, like in Adams and, like, New Marlborough and stuff. And that's just such a... Like, you wouldn't believe that you're in, like, the 21st century.
Yeah.
Like, the roads are, like, dirt roads. You're going in the woods. My car is, it feels like a road a horse would have trouble traversing, let alone a car. Like, my car, like, my bottom was just scraping against it. All these, like, people live in almost isolation from one another, but the views.
Oh, yeah.
These rolling hills, you can see, like you said, the Berkshires, not the Adirondacks, the Berkshires, and it's very, I don't know, I like the patchwork effect that you get this time of year.
Yeah.
With like the trees, the different species of trees, changing color at different rates. Very beautiful.
And another gem of New England, which always makes me think of summertime, Lake Winnipesaukee.
Lake Winnipesaukee.
In the middle of nowhere. And New Hampshire's a very odd state to me. To me, New England is a very wealthy place. New England was the place where, America was founded. They landed here. Yes. Massachusetts Bay Colony. It's a very historic place, and I feel like New Hampshire is the antithesis of all things New England. Live free or die. I feel like their infrastructure sucks. It's very woodsy. Like, their major city is Concord or Manchester, and they are teeny-weeny little cities. It makes Hartford look like a metropolis. Yeah. And you spend most of your time in the woods. I love that they don't have sales tax. But it definitely does not feel like New England. But when I go to Lake Winnipesaukee, I go to a town called Wolfboro. very quiet. It's a very touristy town. But it doesn't feel like it's not like a tourist trap.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's a very scenic lake. It's a very clear lake. The amount of boat traffic would make you think it's incredibly, polluted. Water is crystal clear. It's a sandy bottom lake.
Mm-hmm.
And beautiful views of the White Mountains.
That's gorgeous. The White Mountains are very beautiful.
They are. And then all these beautiful towns line the lake. There's a beautiful historic house, called Castle in the Clouds.
Really?
You go all the way up into these, up into the mountains, and you can go out into their backyard, and you see this like the lake. It's just, peppered with islands, but you get it's like a panoramic view of the lake, but you're so high up, and it's a beautiful house. Don't eat at the restaurant. I got food poisoning from there.
What did you eat?
A hamburger.
Ooh.
And looking back on it, I don't know why I ate it because it was gray.
Ooh. That's not a color a hamburger should be.
But I'm very used to windy roads. I very seldom get I've never gotten car sick. Sometimes I get a little queasy if, it's really
yeah, zoom, zoom,
and you're taking your curves kind of fast. But we're going up in these hills, and it's you're in the woods, non-paved roads. The property is huge. I mean, you're winding through these they're not even town roads. They're just paths. And we wanted to go see some of the views, and there's a beautiful waterfall. And I'm I do not feel good at all. And I'm I think it's just the car.
Yeah.
But then we got back to our cabin. Oh yeah, we stay in a cabin. Thankfully it has running water and electricity, but I mean, that's really it. No air conditioning, no heating. It's, really four walls. It's very cozy, very woodsy and rustic. It smells like mothballs.
That's kind of comforting though.
It is. And so I get back and I'm I still don't feel why would I I've been out of the car for such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not fun, but the house is beautiful. But there's something so soothing about the loon's call.
Oh, dude.
It's a haunting sound, but at the same time it's so calming. In the middle of the night, when you can hear the water kind of lapping over the rocks on the shore, and you can hear the loons, and it just, bounces off the cabin and back over the water. But you wake up in the morning, if you're there in the summer, the water is just a mirror.
Yeah.
And, it's so serene. And I love to kayak. And it's just so, no boat traffic. It's dead silent.
Still water.
And then, if you're there in the fall, this haze of fog covers the water. It's magical.
Yeah, the loon calls is early morning. The twilight hours of night and morning. That haze. Beautiful.
Some of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's the way the clouds behave in the mountains. They form these very intricate patterns, and then the sun projects these awesome colors only on the clouds. So the sky could be just a waning color of blue or purple, but then it's the brightest shade of orange just on the clouds, or this magnificent shade of purple. But there's no air pollution, no light pollution. I mean, if you go sit out on your dock and lay on your back, you could see every star in every constellation. I mean, you are so far removed from industry or a city. A lot of people go there, but they all live in some sort of a remote, only certain areas of the lake are really touristy.
Yeah.
Like Laconia, Wolfboro, Moultonboro, maybe Weirs Beach, maybe a couple others. But I mean, there's so much of it that's just pure wilderness. And that's something else New England has. Just wilderness,
Yeah.
A lot of the East Coast is highly developed. But I think that New England is beautiful because you can still enjoy nature.
Yeah.
We have two of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country.
Yeah.
And it's totally just opposed by pure, untouched, a nature's wonderland.
Yeah. Yeah. See, New Hampshire, that's the one New England state that I have the least experience with. And I don't really have like a connection to it. Like my grandmother's family, is Quebecois from, Maine, and my grandfather, very large Portuguese population in Rhode Island. So Rhode Island, we'll talk about that. But what I want to talk about now is a beautiful state that's sisters with New Hampshire, and that's Vermont.
I have never been to Vermont.
I love Vermont.
The idea of Vermont fascinates me.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the farthest removed from civilization. Like,
Yeah.
it has its own, like, subculture, like Burlington.
Yeah.
To me, that seems like such a hip place. Like, it's a city that's more of, like, a big town.
Yeah.
And since I've never been there, these are more like just, like, how I picture it.
Yeah.
And I think Montpelier is, like, the quaintest capital you could get. But I feel like that's so perfect. Like, it fits my image of Vermont so well. But the thing about Vermont to me is, like, I feel like if the stress of the modern world, like, that would be the perfect getaway. Like, if I ever wanted to take, like, a week off and go to a remote place, I would choose Vermont.
Yeah. It's, I have this fantasy of, just becoming a recluse and a bachelor and living in a cabin in Vermont and just, like, spending my days alone and writing,
You have a fantasy of becoming a recluse.
Like, that's just, like, if I'm going to be a recluse,
Vermont's the place to do it.
This is my fantasy if I'm a recluse,
Okay, I see.
It's just the perfect spot, And when I think of New England, I think Vermont perfectly encapsulates that. Because I don't think of, like, salt water or the ocean or coasts.
No.
I think of mountains, I think of lakes, streams, and very cold, and snow. And Vermont is just sort of all those things, the rolling hills, the maple syrup. And I like your little assessment there of, like, it is kind of like its own thing. Vermont's weird, and even different parts of Vermont are weird. Because, a lot of, the Burlington area I love, it's very, like you said, young, very hip, very, like, Bernie, that's where Bernie has his office, is in Burlington. And then you go into, like, more eastern Vermont, or western Vermont, not up where the lake is. And it's just, like you described New Hampshire. It's very, like, desolate, live free or die kind of, like, mentality. I know that's New Hampshire's motto, but, like, Vermont is, like, very, I don't know, very, like, woods kind of libertarianish,
Yeah.
But it is very, it's pretty. It's very, it's green.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what comes to my head is, like, that evergreen green, But yeah, Vermont's pretty. I guess, we should just keep covering each state. So I guess the next state is Maine. Because I sort of group, if you had to pick, like, divide the states, Mass, Rhode Island, and Connecticut are, like, one thing. And Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are, like, their own.
Yeah.
What do you think about Maine?
I've only been a handful of times. I've been to Maine's Portland. I spent a Thanksgiving there once. And we ate at some luxury hotel. We didn't stay there, but we ate our Thanksgiving dinner there. And it, like, the seafood was just, like, I love my turkey on Thanksgiving. But, like, when in Rome, you gotta eat the seafood.
Yeah.
And it was just divine. Home to LL Bean. Perhaps one of the greatest outdoor gear manufacturers in the country, who has overturned their lifetime warranty, which bums me out.
Sons of guns.
But to me, like, I know, like, I've never been to, like, really remote Maine, but it's definitely, like, I don't know, it's just got this vibe that I like.
Yeah. Fun fact, I get my flannels from L.O. Bean. So the flannels that I wear every single day of my life, my favorites are from L.O. Bean. I'm wearing one right now, my green and... It's my just sort of traditional green plaid one.
The Black Watch.
Yes.
The superior flannel pattern.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, that's what that's called? Huh.
If there is a pattern for winter that I like, it's Black Watch. People like the black and red.
The checkered? No.
It has to be. It's such a beautiful shade of green. So Lizzie, if you're listening, and you better be, how did you know that I liked that pattern so much?
Wow. Oh, did she make that for you?
She did. It's my color.
Whoa, that is do you like that? Is that like one of your favorite? I know you fancy red, but...
I fancy red. I fancy red when it's paired with black. I think that's such a cool combination. But I think that a deep forest green is the superior green. And I think there's something so classy about it. Like, if you're going to paint a room a color, a dark, dark green would be, like, perfect.
It's a nice, like, accent wall color.
Yeah. But, like, that's so, like, embracing to me, I feel like. Like, lime green is disgusting. Dark green.
Yeah.
Just feels so nice.
Yeah. Subdued. It is very calming.
And it's the color to me of, like a great pine forest or a great... You know, like in the Pacific Northwest, like that's how I imagine the landscape being, like that color.
Yeah. And then what I like to think is that green contrasted with the sort of like almost reddish brown color of the like the trunks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the redwood trees, of course, but like even like pine stuff.
Mm-hmm. But back to New England.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's hop over to the other coast. East Coast, best coast.
That is correct.
Yeah, so my grandma, who Rita Jean, who some people know as RJ.
RJ.
She's from Maine.
Is she?
Yes, she's from one of the places in Maine where it's kind of like that landlocked small town.
Mm-hmm.
A little town called Waterville. And the way she describes Waterville to me makes it seem like she grew up not in New England.
Really?
Yeah. It seems like, you know, the South has crept up into Maine. They say down east. That's that, you know.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I feel like we can use the word backcountry as backcountry anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you live in the middle of nowhere, you're living that laid-back lifestyle, that carefree lifestyle that people in the South live. I think like it's a mentality you have.
Yeah.
Since the South is so spread out, there's so much land. You know, and it's so like not organized. Like there's like we have town centers, town greens. They just have streets. You know, nothing's like centralized and radiates out like we do here.
Yeah.
It's just kind of all over the place. And I think that in New England, our equivalent is, you know, small towns that are not a New England town, but more of a woodsy kind of isolated town. You know, they don't have a town hall and a church on a hill. They have, you know, just houses upon houses. And, you know, the mayor's office is in his house.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an organized town, if you will. But I think that's cool. Like, a summer night in the forest of remote New England is something I romanticize. You know, silence, you know, but like a warm summer night.
Yeah, man. There's... You know, it's hard for me to speak since I've never properly lived anywhere but New England. I've spent a lot of time in Texas, you know. I sort of, you know, usually I would spend, you know, at least 2 or 3 months out of the year in Texas for the past, like, couple of years. But I don't think I could live anywhere but here.
Yeah. There's something homey about New England. And I think that even though we are a people that's generally listed as being kind of harsh, rough around the edges, very mind your own business and not very friendly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or like you think of like someone from New York or Boston, you know, very like gruff, very, you know, fend for themselves.
They got an edge.
Yeah, I think it's also the perfect place to live and raise a family,
Mm-hmm.
because no matter where you live, there's always so much to do.
Mm.
You know, we're a stone's throw away from Boston, from New York, where, you know, we can experience so much.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you know, you can do any job anywhere here. You know, like we have so much to offer. But also, we still have so much of the old world mixed in with our new world, which,
Yeah.
you know, I can't say I would want to live without. You know, the West Coast is very new. It's very modern.
Mm-hmm.
Out here, like, rustic is very in. It's always been in.
Yeah.
You know, or the colonial style. You know, it's a very embracing, I feel like very warm style of house. You know, it's what New England is.
Yeah. I mean, just to do a little brief thing, since, you know, you are one of the best, you know, draftsman, architectural enthusiasts I know.
Thank you.
Of course. The New England architecture. What do you think of it?
I think it's very distinct.
Yeah.
I think that we need that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have Colonial is of course a staple of the Northeast. I think that there's something beautiful in the simplicity of it.
Again, that word, simple.
Yes, I think that like a brick foundation, white painted house is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also something beautiful about our presence of Victorian or Second Empire houses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more ornate, but also they're very historic.
Yeah.
But then if you go on the more industrial side, like the Colt factory or those warehouses that are now apartment buildings down on 159.
Mm-hmm. The mill, emblematic of like mill, you know?
Yeah, like the brick construction.
Mm-hmm.
The one word I use is warm. It's very traditional. It's very common here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love when people build like farmhouse style homes or craftsman style homes. Like those just aren't what this place is. You know, the craftsman style is made of timber that was sourced from the West. Like it's meant for like the Lake Tahoe region.
Yeah.
Because that's what they had. It's an evolution of the wood cabin.
Yeah.
You know, but people like that. You know, we don't have log cabins. We built cabins with traditional building methods. You know, there's a difference. In the farmhouse style, you know, the wraparound porch, you can enjoy that every day of the year in the South or in, you know, the Midwest. But we don't have front porches in the colonial style of house. Why? Because in the dead of winter, you don't need it.
Yeah.
You know, you have the steps leading up to the front door, which is sometimes covered, sometimes not. The point is to get inside.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there is functionality. It's the essence of what America is. Or like a very simple church with a simple steeple. You know, we're not looking at like St. Peter's in Rome. You know, we're looking at very quaint, very, you know, it's local. It's where you go to, you know, pray and do your thing. But it's not like going to draw in a tourist and say like, oh, this needs to be a big deal.
Yeah. Very Protestant, you know?
Yeah.
You know, well built, but not flashy.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also that European influence. You know, Boston is, by all means, you know, a very European sort of city. It's not like New York, where, you know, it's very grid-like. It's, like you said, the streets, even in Boston, in a city, there kind of is no rhyme or reason to, you know, New York. You can go and, you know, within 20 or 30 minutes, you have a pretty good idea of how to navigate, you know, through the numbered avenues. But you go to Boston, it's, you know, these cobblestone streets and these, like, you know, these, like, brick buildings that are gorgeous, you know. Very European.
I'd use the word organic.
Organic?
I think that's what New England is. You know, we're known for what? more rustic things. We're known for maple syrup in some places. Apples, are always, or, fall is the season for that.
Mm-hmm.
Or pumpkins or this or that. You could say the West Coast is known for, more manufactured goods.
Mm-hmm.
Or the South is known for more textile, or,
Mm-hmm.
they produce things for manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we produce for ourselves?
Yeah.
Nothing's made inside New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Things are sold from New York City, but made elsewhere in the country. That to me, is a big deal. There's no reason to put a factory in New England. You put it somewhere else so that you can keep New England beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that. I feel like it makes me feel very safe. The air quality's good. It's fresh. It's a place where you can feel at ease.
Yeah. And then there are those places that are like, Boston, or I guess to some extent like Providence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Hartford's kind of a different beast, but or you can, get a slice of city life. But even our cities are they're more collegiate,
Mm-hmm.
less, I mean, of course business happens, but it's not to the extent of like New York or
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles. It's more, I don't know, it's a different vibe, and it's very unique.
Yeah.
So I guess what are your thoughts on Mass? I kind of have a love-hate thing with Mass.
I think Eastern Mass is the essence of Mass. Boston,
Mm-hmm.
Cape Cod, but then it's a totally different beast on the other side.
Yeah.
In Western Mass. I think that Western Mass shares Vermont and upper state New York vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I think of Massachusetts, I think of Boston.
Yeah.
I don't think of, the Berkshires.
Yeah.
Massachusetts is the industrial place in New England.
Yeah.
But, and there's something about Cape Cod is, I think it's quaint. You can use the word quaint all around. It's a beachy place.
Yeah.
It's touristy, but it's not, overbuilt.
Yeah.
It's still, the National Seashore. It's untouched, beautiful. It just feels right. I feel like it'll be unspoiled no matter how many people go there, because they want to protect it. They want to keep it beautiful. And, there's something to be said about that. It's very admirable that they have the choice between economy and
preservation.
And I think they're choosing the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, they make enough money, but they're doing, they are restricting in the sake of, keeping this beautiful thing. Because I love, Cape is very pretty.
It is.
And so, New England beaches kind of get a bad rap for being, too rocky, cold most of the time. Even in the summer, people are like, "This is cold."
Yeah.
The Atlantic doesn't really warm up as easily as the Pacific.
The North Atlantic is a brutal place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's more south, more, you get the Gulf Stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little warmer, but yeah, I don't know, because I sort of, you think of Boston, which is pretty, and the Cape, which have their own charms, but then also, there is that feeling of, isolation in these smaller towns, and, that can be good and bad, because there's kind of a disconnect within the people who are, within the larger cities and the people who are in, the, Western Mass, this town, that town. But I guess it's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, I'm like, oh, that's the idea. I don't know. I think Mass is just like Connecticut, but I like Connecticut better.
Yeah.
And it's probably, not really as good as Mass, but I have a chip on my shoulder because I think Connecticut's better. But
we're all entitled to our own opinions. And the last state we haven't talked about is Rhode Island. The smallest state in New England.
I think it might be my favorite New England state.
I don't have much experience. I've been to Providence.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, small little city.
Mm-hmm.
Never been to Newport. I've heard wonderful things.
Newport's I went.
And I feel like the mansions of Newport are very appealing.
Oh, you love it, man.
And I think, but the thing about Newport that kind of discourages me is that was like the rich man's home away from home. Their home is New York, so
yeah.
Newport is like they're bringing something into New England I don't want.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Breakers, to me it just seems like some sort of a palace.
Yeah.
And it just seems so magical and huge.
Yeah.
But
it's funnily enough.
But like European influence, it's
very
it's ornate. It's everything that the architecture should be. And it's a tourist destination, which is one of the reasons I don't like it, because people go there to do the touristy things, not to like take time off to like relax like other places in New England. They go there to do things, go to the beach, whatever. So like that's one of the things I don't like. And I feel like given that it's such a small state, it's a little denser than every other state.
Yeah.
In New England.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Newport, it's a very nice beach. The sand is very soft.
Is it?
Yeah, but it is such a tourist trap, man.
Is Watch Hill in Rhode Island?
Yes. Yeah. Watch Hill is in Rhode Island. Watch Hill is really nice.
I haven't been there either.
That's like my favorite beach is in Watch Hill. I'm like right next to Connecticut in Rhode Island. And I haven't been this year to this one spot. I went to Watch Hill, but not like this one like private beach. It's very nice. But yeah, Newport, I don't know. There's I like Rhode Island a lot. That's where my grandfather's family is from. And I don't know, there's a lot of quirks in Rhode Island. Have you ever had coffee milk?
Never.
Have you heard of it?
No.
It's like a Rhode Island thing. It's just like, it tastes like it's like chocolate milk, only instead of like chocolate syrup, they use like coffee.
Okay.
And it tastes like melted coffee ice cream.
Interesting.
It is so good. It is a delicacy, man. Rhode Island can get overlooked. It is the smallest little boy of them all.
It is.
But it is very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It has the woods on just... What surprised me, how close Yukon is to Providence.
Yukon is... It's close to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because it's also close to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You're only 15 minutes from Massachusetts when you're on 84 on the exit to get off to Yukon, which to me is like insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've gone from Providence and I took the road, so I ended up at the intersection with Cumberland Farms. Very scenic. Took a very long time to get there.
I don't know. What would you do as your ranking of the 6 states?
Connecticut is number 1.
Yeah, Connecticut.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And then I think I'd go Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd do something similar. I'd probably do Connecticut, just a little shipping. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts.
So Massachusetts is on the bottom of both of our lists.
And Connecticut is at the top.
Yes. So, but we're not biased. We're both from California, so it clearly, we're only basing this off of totally unbiased opinions.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else to say about New England? I feel like we've covered a lot. We went over every state, some of our favorite things about each. And, if something comes to our mind, there's always season 3.
Always season 3.
I do have a Mikey G lib. This one comes from madtakes.com. Mikey G, can I get a color?
Purple.
A superlative ending in est.
Let's go. Stupidest.
Stupidest.
You're so stupid.
Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? Adjective.
Dumb.
A plural body part.
Clavicles.
Clavicles. Just a singular body part.
Singular butt cheek. Only one.
Singular butt cheek. Noun.
Lock.
A plural animal.
Weasels.
I love weasels, man.
I can't say I've ever seen one. I think I only saw a taxidermied one at Cabela's in East Hartford.
Weasels are sweet, man. They're vicious little things.
Oh, I've heard.
They're vicious little things. And then can I just have, to finish it off, not 1, not 2, not 4, but 3 adjectives.
3 adjectives.
Mm-hmm.
Slimy, sticky, and oozy.
Oozy. Gra, gra. All right, let's go mad. This Mikey G Lib is called Dragons. The purple dragon is the stupidest dragon of all. It has dumb clavicles and a singular butt cheek shaped like a lock. It loves to eat weasels, although it will feast on nearly anything. It's slimy and sticky. You must be oozy around it, or you may end up as its meal.
Short and sweet.
The end. Man, purple dragons are the stupidest dragons.
They're so stupid.
Well, that was a fun Mikey G Lib. We'll put that in the description below as well. Mikey G, do you have any closing words for this episode?
Thanks again for listening.
Mm-hmm.
These are deeply meaningful and intriguing conversations we have.
Mm-hmm.
So, tune in next week to hear what other great, profound topics we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Share with a friend. Now, I want you all to stop what you're doing right now.
Stop.
Click the little share button.
Mm-hmm.
And choose one of your friends that hasn't listened to the podcast before. Maybe someone from New England, maybe. Tell them to compare their ranking with ours. Tell them to subscribe, drop us a like, and maybe drop us a line. And tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, what are you thinking? What's your order of the New England states? What do you think our merch should be?
Maybe a new purple dragon t-shirt.
Purple dragons are the stupidest dragons. All right, well, I'd say that was a good conversation, Mikey G.
That it was.
And as always, be good to yourselves.
Be safe out there. God bless.